Yes, this plan, in theory, should be a temporary plan. So now you are talking with a historian. Let me read two lines that were written in 1899 by John Dixon, the British consul to Jerusalem. He wrote, after visiting Gaza, that the area of Gaza is under cultivation, crops of wheat and barley being raised by the Arabs. We have hundreds of sources documenting how well developed was Gaza, and this should juxtapose not only with the current devastation, but also with the economic strangulation of the Gaza economy in these last few decades. That said, just 6 days after October the 7th, the Israeli authorities, the Israeli Ministry of Intelligence, produced a plan to deport Palestinians from Gaza to the Sinai. So it was already there, very much there, already 6 days after. And given the ongoing catastrophe that we are witnessing, if it must be done, so if it's necessary, Palestinians should be temporarily relocated within the state of Israel. 70% of the Palestinians' families in the Gaza Strip are originally from villages and cities in the state of Israel. And this includes also three main founder of Hamas. Ayat Suri was born in Beit Daras. He was 8 years old when he was expelled from there to Khan Yunis. Arantisi, that he was expelled from Ibna when he was 1 year old to Khan Yunis. And Ayassin, that was expelled from Al-Jura to Al-Shati, so to the coastal area of the Gaza Strip. So this means that for anyone that wants to defeat Hamas, this is perfectly understandable. But the first thing to do so is to know, to study, to learn history. Otherwise, of course, this will never happen.
And not to mention, if we're talking about learning history, the sustainability of occupation, right? Because that's, according to the UN Secretary General, as well as many others, the root causes and the background to all of this conflict. Is that not also perfectly understandable?
Yes, listen, the humanization of the others is clearly visible among Palestinians and Israelis alike. But the decades-long presence of an occupying army and millions of civilians under military occupation, on the other hand, is experienced only by one of these two involved sides. So the point is that we have to be very clear to say that there was never and there is not any risk for the existence of the State of Israel. That is a nuclear power, the only nuclear power of the Middle East, that is supported by most Western countries. Conversely, the obliteration and the, let's say, messianic conversion of the land that remains or remained in Palestinian hands does not represent a risk, but rather a very tangible reality that is visible since many years to anyone that is willing to see it.
Right. Now, today, starvation deaths picking up again. 8 people dying in the last 24 hours, including children. Yesterday, we had 2 UN special rapporteurs warning about the extermination of the people in Gaza. Do you see that's where this is heading if this continues? Every day, people are dying either under bombs or because they're being starved to death by an Israeli siege.
Listen, in the second half of the 19th century, U.S. hunters were killing millions of buffaloes as part of a de facto governmental policy which aimed at forcing Native Americans to self-expel themselves and to accept to live in the reservation system. Native Americans back then were not defeated militarily, but because their children were dying of malnutrition due to the systematic strategy of starvation. We know that Mark Twain told us that history is never the same, but it often rhymes. And so if you look from an historical perspective to what is happening, this is something that is not new.
All right, thank you so much for your perspective on what's happening. Lorenzo Kamel there, from the International History Professor at the University of Turin.